Hey everyone, welcome back to Wix Fix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Ryan and I hope you all had a fantastic holiday season and new year. For today's video, we are going to be designing a website or a web page inside of Wix. Now I know it's been a while since I covered the classic editor. I've been mainly focused on Wix Studio, and that's just because it's brand new, but I want you all to know, especially if you're new to the channel, we cover all things Wix here on the channel. I also want to mention that if you press the join button down below the channel, you actually get access to videos early. So if you want to be able to see videos just like this, just a little bit early, you can press that little join button and view all of the new videos that have not yet been released. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start designing this website. So the first thing I want to mention is I've already created the header and I've added like the footer. And we're just going to start focusing on the design for the sections. So for the hero section, I do want this to be pretty large. So what we're going to do is make this 1200 pixels and we're going to add a strip inside of it. So we'll go to add strip and we'll just drag this out. I do want to remove the background color. So we'll go into the change background strip settings, press the settings, and we'll remove the color. For now, what I want to do is send this to the top, and what we're going to do is we're going to change the strip background to an image. The image that we're going to choose is the hero background image. And if we go into our media, I actually want to check something really quickly. I want to see how big this image is. And what I'm going to do is select this image, go into file info, and we're going to see that this image is 1269 pixels in height. So what I want to do with this strip right here is I'm going to change the height to be 1269, and it's going to kind of reposition the image just like this. And what I want to do now is with the strip, I want to move this up. You can see I'm kind of covering the header a little bit because I'm moving the strip behind the header. And you'll notice when we look at this image right here, the bottom of it's getting cut off. So what I can do is select the strip, go to change background, go into the settings, and right here it says where it is positioned. What we can do is select the bottom one. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of push the content up a little bit for us. You can see that right here, and that looks pretty nice. I will say I might want to make this strip a little bit bigger because I do plan to put text and a button here. So what I'm going to do is make this strip maybe 1500, and we'll see what that looks like after it kind of adjusts. Maybe that's enough room. Okay, after it adjusted again, I think that's going to be plenty of room. But now we can go ahead and start adding the content. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over to add. I'm going to do text, and I'm going to grab this heading 1 text element here. I am going to kind of push this all the way to the edge, but what I want to do is using my shift key on the keyboard and the right arrow key, I'm going to press the right arrow key 2 times, and that's going to give us 20 pixels away from this grid line. If we leave things right up on the grid line, then on smaller screens, it's going to look like the content is like right up against it and it doesn't look that nice. So if we leave a little bit of space there, it just makes it a little bit nicer here in the classic editor. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to bring this all the way over to the next grid line. And then I'm going to come over to the width and I'm going to subtract 20 pixels from it. So now we have 20 pixels here and we have 20 pixels here. Now I'm going to go ahead and change out this text really quickly. And with this text, I'm going to go ahead and select it and I want to center it. I also want to come down to character and line spacing, and I want to adjust the line spacing a little bit. I think 1.2 is probably going to look the best for this. Underneath this heading text, I just want to drag out this paragraph, and I'm going to resize it to be about this big. And we're going to place it underneath this heading text, and then I'm going to replace the text inside of it. Now for this, I want it to be centered, and actually we might even expand it a little bit more just so it's 2 lines, and then we'll recenter it. Perfect. And then last but not least, we're going to add a button. So we're going to come over to add, we're going to do button, and let's just grab this one right here. Let's change the text to say contact us, and let's go ahead and open up the design. For this design, I think I chose for the font, we did Wix made for bold. I've actually grown to really like this font. Maybe we can even do extra bold. I think that looks nice. For the border, let's just remove the border. We don't need it. So I'll remove the opacity and the pixel width. For the radius, let's see what 12 looks like. That might even be a bit too much. So let's do like 6. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to resize this just a little bit more. Make sure it is centered. And I'm going to grab all 3 of these elements and group them together. Perfect. And I did notice that the background image did move down. So what I'm going to do is move it back up. So that way our image is behind the header. And with that, I'll grab this group and kind of nudge it down into place. So something like that. I think that looks really good. And then I will go ahead and double click this little arrow thing to shrink the section for us. Fantastic. Now let's go ahead and add a brand new section. I'm just going to choose a blank one. And I'm going to set this to be like 900 pixels in height for now. And in this section, it's going to be pretty basic. All I really want to do is add kind of a heading 2. That's going to say our clients. And we're going to make sure that this is centered inside of the text box. And then we can use the toolbar to align it to the center, just like that. If you do not see the toolbar right here, what you can do is come over to Tools and enable the toolbar. And then you'll be able to align things just as I have. Underneath this, we're going to add a paragraph. With this paragraph, we are just going to align it to the center, make it a little bit longer, and we'll place it right here underneath this text. Perfect. And we can even group these together if we want. Underneath that, what I'm going to do is add a strip. For the strip, what I want to do is change the background image to a list of our clients. Now, realistically, you're probably going to want to use a repeater for this. However, to save time, I'm choosing to do it this way. But if you want to see me do the repeater way, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a video on that in the near future. Before this, let's open up the settings. We're going to go to the background color and set this to 0. For the image scaled, we're going to set this to original size. And we are just going to resize this just like this. And we'll move it right underneath that. Perfect. So now we should have a section that looks like this. We can bring up the section height just a little bit. And if you want to be exact, what you can do is come over to the add panel and we can just grab a box really quickly. Let's send the box to the top and we're going to drag the height of the box to the top of our little text group here. Now that we have this height, we can drag this underneath our strip down here. And now we can just double click and remove the box. So now we have something that looks like that. And we have equal spacing on the top and bottom, which looks pretty nice. The next section that we are going to build is going to showcase some of the team, or showcase some pictures of the team, not necessarily individual bios. But what we're going to do is set this section to be like 900 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and grab this group of text right here. I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to paste it down here. Let's center this group here and I'm going to change this to we are team because that's what the design says that I'm following. And underneath this, I want to have kind of 6 images or two rows of 3 images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, grab a strip. For the background, I'm going to choose an image. And I'm going to choose top image right here. Inside of the settings, what I want to do is say original size. And we're going to remove the background color. And I'm going to resize it to something like this. Now for this image, I do want to add a background scroll effect. And I think for this one, I want to choose pan right. Now I do think for this section, we're going to need a little bit more space. So I'm going to drag the section down And what I want to do with this section or the strip is I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it down below. But I'm going to change the image to bottom images. Okay, and we'll follow the same steps by making sure we don't have a color for the background. We'll set it to original size. And then for the scroll effect or animation, we're going to switch it from pan right to pan left. So now when we go ahead and preview the website, we should have something that looks like this, and it's pretty cool as we scroll down. It just adds a really nice scroll effect. But I do want to kind of move the strip down a little bit so we have somewhat of consistent spacing and it looks a little bit cleaner. Fantastic. And once again, I'm going to add the box here. We'll send it to the top and we will grab this spacing here. Then let's drag this down to this section and we'll place this here. And we'll just make sure that this is aligned properly. Fantastic. And if we need to, we can move these a little bit down. And then let's drag this down to underneath this strip. And we can double click. Fantastic. For the next section that we are going to build, this is going to kind of showcase some of the features for working with this company. So let's go ahead and set this to 900 pixels. Inside of this, I want to add a strip. So we'll go to strip, drag this out, and let's send it to the top. And we're going to make this one pretty tall as well. So we'll set it to 900. For ease, what we're going to do is set the background color to 0. I like to do this before the next step because then I have to do it twice for each column. And speaking of columns, that's what we're going to do. We're going to press layout and we're going to add a column. Now I don't want this to be a 50-50 column. So what we're going to do is go to layout and I'm going to set this left one to like 64%. I think that looks pretty good. And then for this left column, I'm going to press layout and I'm going to send it to the right. So now we can put content here instead of in the center over here. Okay, left column, I do want to add some text. So I'm going to go to text. Let's grab a heading 2. Let's drag this into the proper column. Make sure it's in the proper grid area. And I'm going to send it to the top left. And I'm going to use our 20 pixel rule here. And same thing I did with the header. I'm going to stretch it all the way to the end. But then I'm going to come over here and do -20. And I'm going to change the text really quickly to some of our advantages. And then underneath that, we're just going to have a button. So we'll go over to button and we'll drag this one out right here. For this button text, it's going to say ask a question. We'll extend it out just a little bit. And then for the design of this one, we're going to remove the fill. We do want to have a color, or we do want to have a border. For the corners, we'll make it the same as the other button. So we'll do 6 pixels. For the text, once again, we're going to choose the same font and we will change the color. And let's go up to that button at the very top. We'll see that we made this button 49 pixels in height. So we'll scroll all the way back down. We'll grab this one and we'll make this one 49 as well, just so we have consistent buttons on our website. For this left-hand side, for this right column, what I want to do is come over to the add panel. We're going to go to list. We'll do blank repeaters. And what I want to choose is this one right here. Now, obviously, this is a little bit too big. So what we're going to do is just resize it. And what I want to do is also come over to the width and subtract 40 pixels from it. And we'll just make sure it is centered. Fantastic. Now let's go to the width and we'll kind of bring in the width so that we have 2 items per row. What I'm trying to do is eyeball the spacing we have in between here and here. So I think that is perfect, just like that. Now inside of this, what I want to do is go ahead and change the background, and we're just going to remove the color. Now if we go back, we can actually press this option to apply to all options. That way we don't have to go item by item to change every single one. Inside of the item, what I want to do is add a little graphic. So what we're going to do is come over to our media, and we're going to choose this option right here. So we'll bring it in and we'll send it to the top left. Now we don't need it to be this big, so we can resize it like this to maybe 60 pixels, or we can even use the size properties here in the toolbar to get even more precise. Underneath this little icon, we're going to add some text. So what we're going to do is go to add text, and let's choose this heading 5. Seems small enough for us. And what I want to do is position it right underneath our little icon, and we'll extend it the whole way across the item that it's sitting in. And then last but not least, what we're going to do is add a little paragraph right underneath it. Once again, we're going to send it to the left and make it stretch to fill the entire item. Now what I want to do is just go ahead and change out all of the content really quickly. And for this text, for this heading text, I might make it a little bit smaller. So I'll make it like 24 pixels. I think that looks a little bit nicer. Okay. Now that we have this repeater, let's go ahead and drag it all the way up to the top. And what we can do is drag up the section to the bottom of the repeater item. I think that looks pretty nice. And we can even raise up the repeater item as well if we wanted to. But I do think having a little bit of space does end up looking a little bit nicer in most cases. So the last section that we're going to be building is going to be kind of like a blog section. So let's go ahead and add a brand new section. Once again, let's give us some room to work with. So we'll set the height to 900. And I'm going to grab this title element here, and then we'll paste it down below. I'm going to align this to the center, and we're going to change the text to News on Olymp, which is the name of the website. And actually, I'm going to drag this down a little bit more, just so we have a little bit more space to work with. Underneath this title, we're going to add another repeater. So we'll go to list. We'll drag this repeater out right here. Let's go ahead and position this repeater right about there. Now, we can do two things with this. We can either subtract 40 pixels from this and bring in the elements to be something like this. And with the repeater, just make sure it is centered. So we can do something like that. Or alternatively, is we can actually press stretch and stretch it to the full width of the screen and then bring it in drastically. Now with the layout, we can even tell it to align items to the center and even set maybe like a 24 pixel gap or spacing in between each of the items. And so that way, when we have more items, it looks like this repeater can have like 5 across before it wraps to the next row. I do think that looks a little bit nicer. So we'll go ahead and leave it like this, or we can alternatively make these a little bit wider as well. But for now, let's go ahead and press change background. Same as we did with the other repeater above. We're going to set the background color to 0. I'm going to press to apply all. Fantastic. Inside of this repeater, we're going to go to media, press show more, and we're going to grab a image here. We're going to resize it, place it inside of the repeater item. Let's align it to the top left, and we're going to resize it to where it fills the item. Perfect. Underneath that, we're going to add a very tiny paragraph element here. And this element is just going to be like about this big. It's not going to be very big. And we're going to apply it to the repeater. We're going to bring it up to be about this size, and we can stretch it to fill. And all this is really going to be is just like a little tag for like, this one's digital marketing. Maybe this one is about web design or something. Like, you know, this is just like a little bit of a tag. This could even be the date that this article was released. But for now, what we're going to do is just go ahead and add a small little title text. So we'll do like a heading 6. Again, we're going to resize this, position it right underneath that paragraph text, and we can stretch the title. And these titles can be whatever they need to be. But I'm going to resize this just like that. And we can go ahead and change out the content really quickly. And once we're happy with that, let's go ahead and do the same trick that we did up here, where we grab that little box to get our spacing. So we'll place it at the top of the section, snap it to the top of this group here. Let's go ahead and press Command or Control X to cut it. We'll bring it all the way down to this section down below, and we can paste it. Let's put this at the top, and then we can grab these elements and bring them up so they snap to the box. Then we'll bring the box underneath, and then we can double click this section. Perfect. So now our website should look something like this. I will say for this section right here, we might not actually need to have the spacing above, just because we already have spacing below and above for this one. So what I'm going to do in this section is just paste that box again. We'll move it underneath the strip, and we'll just double click here. Perfect. But if we come all the way up to the top of the website and we press preview, here is the Olymp website built inside of Wix Classic. And you can see we added some really nice imagery and kind of animations very easily using Wix. So that's basically gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you all did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more Wix and Wix Studio content coming out really soon. Thank you all again, and I will see you on the next one.